if you think about how, at least in the sci-fi shows, time works, if you come back in time and you change something, there's ripple effects into the future.
Right. They're going, Marty, don't mention the drones. What do you mean we can't tell them about the drones, Doc? It's going to be bad news for you and your kids.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Mondo Freako! Hey everybody, welcome to what we're calling the Mondo Freako Basement Tapes. The raw experimental conversations that actually sparked our show.
What you're about to hear is Rob and me riffing on all kinds of things. Bigfoot, alien visitations, shadow people, Mothman, whatever, before Mondo Freako was even a thing.
Think of it as a peek behind the curtain of where it all began.
Enjoy. We went so long last time that we've had to make a part 2.
The Jersey Drones Revenge.
Okay. Revenge of the Jersey Drones? Are we doing?
Yeah, that sounds
like
more...
Attack of the Killer Tomatoes? Is that what it's like here? Okay. Maybe George Clooney will be included in this one as well. So
I've heard there's a chance he might dial in.
Oh, well,
fantastic.
I look forward. He'll connect.
He'll connect.
But yeah, he was in the Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Anyway, enough of the silliness about that. We're going to continue our look into the Jersey drones, as we're calling them. Is that an official name, you think? Jersey drones? Do you have to put the new in there? Because you think people are going to get confused that it's England?
Well, you better put it in apostrophe if you don't put the new, so no one's confused.
Because, Jersey is over there in the UK.
It's also T-shirt material, isn't it? I think. Could be drones made of fabric. Yeah, I believe so.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Maybe it is. Maybe they're just kites. Maybe we're really all on the wrong track here. It's just the Jersey kites. There's a lot of guys drinking some 40 ounces on the ground, holding the string.
I wonder if anyone's tried that, just waving their hand between the ground and the drone.
Could be. I mean, it gets windy out there. So we've already did the quiz, and I must say myself, I think I did pretty well.
You're trying to think back. No, you did. You came back.
Oh, finally.
I'm spinning a bit here thinking of the quizzes.
Yeah, no, I finally get a little bit of validation here. So then there we go.
Don't worry, you're always a quiz star to me.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate being a quiz star. That's what.
Speaking of stars, many people think that these orbs that people are seeing with the drones are stars.
Okay.
Well, misidentified stars. It's pretty interesting if you... And I've tried this, it didn't have success, but apparently if you hold your iPhone or smartphone of choice up to a star and zoom in, you get some interesting light effects going on to make it look like it's pulsating or undulating or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's wild.
Give it a try. Report back.
Because everybody always over zooms their cameras, and then you're going to get that effect. Anyway.
That's at least what people who are trying to say that these are not true photos of actual orbs, the debunkers that we've discussed at length. They say that it's just poor photography for the most part.
Right. All this stuff boils down to poor photography. Do you think if we had some kind of government-funded photography classes across the U.S., that would solve this whole problem? Because every time they're like, well, these images mean nothing because they're so blurry and poor.
I had some ideas earlier in life that if everybody had to spend 4 years in the political system to some extent, that we would have a country that was run a little bit better. But I think your idea of forcing photography classes
might be better.
Much better. Yeah. We'd have proof of a number of these things we'd like discussing by now.
And everyone, their composition would be fantastic. They would know the rule of thirds. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Depth of field.
Mm-hmm.
All of these good things. They would know what a cucurorius is.
They might, but I would not.
Well, this would be things that we would teach.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I guess I'll look around at my
we would
local.
we would have scrims and shims and all kinds of good stuff.
I'll stop by my city hall and see what they have to offer me.
Everyone would have a roll of gaffer's tape. Can't go wrong with having a roll of gaffer's tape in your toolbox.
If I had a nickel for every time I wished I had a roll of gaffer's tape.
Well,
Dot.
too bad the holidays are over. That would have been the perfect Christmas gift. You know?
Yeah.
With the gaff. Why they call it gaffer's tape is beyond me. Why they call him a gaffer? What is even this word gaffer? I don't know.
The first time I saw that in the movie credits, I didn't get it. I still don't. But now I know they used
best boy, best boy. I think that was a put down, and they're just like, I'm going to put this on the screen. Best boy.
I think that was Batman's first sidekick before Robin
best
came
boy.
along. And then he went and started a retail electronics chain. Oh, that's Best Buy.
That's Best Buy, right?
Best Buy.
Yeah, the best boy had an untimely demise. I think I'll find an acrobat. This best boy is not working out. So what's happened in this Jersey drone business lately?
Well, let me give you a little bit of a roundup that I accumulated here from, as you know, I've got a bunch of digital AI assistants. Digital, I guess they're just AI assistants. I assume they're digital.
Yeah, the analog AI assistants, they don't work very well. Yeah, I had a couple of analog assistants, and you have to keep winding them up and stuff. It's terrible.
So this will bring you up to speed, I hope.
Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
As of yesterday evening, when I pulled this data, the FAA has extended restrictions, temporary flight restrictions, TFRs, for drones in New Jersey now until January 18th. In general, it says the situation continues to evolve, although I think mainstream media, for the most part, has given up on it and moved on to something else.
Well, we've got a fire to deal with now, so
yeah, right. They've got plenty to sink their teeth into.
Yeah.
So drones are no longer able to fly below 400 feet or within 1 nautical mile of the specified airspace in the areas that have been identified. And there's still ongoing investigations. The FBI continues to lead them. Drone sightings, they say there's been thousands of reports. However, only about 100 reports were worth following up on, but still 100 reports of drones that cannot be identified. Not so bad. Public perception. I think this is pretty interesting. They said that a recent poll found that 78% of Americans believe the government is withholding information, and 53% consider them a threat to the country.
The government or the drones?
They didn't specify, but I'm assuming they were referring to the drones. I think we all know the government could be a threat to the country.
Just wanted to clarify the way you said that. It could have went either way.
And then, of course, the sightings continue. I'm not as deep in the Reddit rabbit hole as I was last time we met, but I do stop in, and there's still plenty of fresh video, fresh takes.
Oh, yeah.
People still posting things, showing things.
You said there's drone restrictions in certain areas. Why these areas? I did have a point of contact in New Jersey. They got notified that there will be no personal drone flying in the area that he was living. And I'm trying to remember. I don't think he lives near the airport. I got to remember, but I just assumed it was a blanket restriction for the state of New Jersey for some reason. I don't know. In my head, I'm like, oh yeah, they killed all the drone traffic. I mean,
it turns out that one of my AI assistants is available.
Oh, sure.
What are the digital
analog
ones?
one? Oh, okay.
The digital ones. Yeah, the analog one is, I think they're watching TV.
We got, his name's Cecil, and he's all wires and nuts and bolts, and he's ready to go.
Wait a second. I think they've
this
backed
just
out
in.
of the, and this is I've got to clarify with my digital AI assistant. They're not the brightest all the time. I was referring.
You said drone. I thought you meant bone. Yeah, you can't throw bones in the
to the current NJ drones. See if it refines its response a little bit here. Okay. It's apparently out for the night. It's giving me the same response as it did. before it's got home. So let's not worry about it.
Well, these AIs, I swear, they're
Yeah,
in their infancy. They're fickle.
Clock in, clock out. 5 o'clock hits, and they
You may really want to
get
get that analog one.
Gotta-
You need to get that boomer AI that will
gotta-
work through the night for you for nothing. Another thing that says is that they are concentrated on certain areas. So all the drones outside that area are the fake drones. And all the drones inside that area are the ones that they're really interested in, which may or may not be their own drones.
I suppose you could arrive there. As far as the news has reported, and as far as what I've seen on the Reddit threads, the only place that has put these kinds of restrictions in place, and certainly the place with the most of them, is New Jersey. At the same time, this is the place with what I believe to be the most and densest ongoing sightings. So in some ways, it makes sense too.
I think this makes it all the more confusing. They didn't say, hey, everybody, don't fly your drones so that we can see the real drones. I mean, even at Woodstock, they said, don't take the brown acid. Right?
I wasn't there, but I've heard.
Well, I'm going from the archival record. Okay. I wasn't there either. But I'm just saying they made announcements that were logical in the sense that they were trying to help people, where this is like, don't fly your drones around here.
This is definitely not a fact-based perspective, but I sure heard a lot of complaining from local New Jersey politicians and law enforcement. And then they had some kind of a briefing. And then it seems like a lot of that sort of died down.
Yeah. Okay.
And again, that could just be part of the news cycle where no one's really surfacing these things anymore. Maybe they're tired of saying the same things. But I had the general impression that once the folks in positions of power or rank were given a little bit of what's actually going on, which I think most everybody, 73% of the nation believes the government knows more than they're revealing. Right. They said, okay, we get it. We get it.
And then, well, okay, yeah. Don't worry about it. Look down. Don't look up. We're all okay.
Let me float a theory for you. I finally did watch the last episode of the Netflix series with George Knapp. Are humans from the future coming back?
Mm-hmm. That's what you think, or that's what George Knapp thought?
This is the theory. So that my scenario starts with that theory. Some guy he talked to, some professor at a university who was floating that out. It's interesting because the professor says that they've mapped the shape of the human skull over time. And they project it forward based on the changes that they've seen since they started tracking that sort of thing, that the skull shape and eye position and size sort of mimic what is being reported from the grays.
Right, yeah.
So if we start with that concept of some of what we're seeing or all of what we're seeing is actually humans coming back from the future, this is one of the scenarios in which I would forgive the government for holding things back. But if you think about how, at least in the sci-fi shows, time works, if you come back in time and you change something, there's ripple effects into the future.
Right. Yeah.
So if these are actually time traveling people from the future, they cannot be revealed, more so than it already happened in their history. Otherwise, they're going to just screw everything up in the future, and who knows if they'll even exist.
Right. They're going, oh, Marty, don't mention the drones.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a Back to the Future type of a scenario. And so, the government's got to clamp down.
What do you mean we can't tell them about the drones, Doc? Oh, it's going to be bad news for you and your kids. So the whole people from the future thing. There's another interesting tie to New Jersey and people from the future. Bell Laboratories was based in New Jersey, and this would be way back, like in 1940s war era. And supposedly during the war, and part of the reason why we possibly won the war was because they invented time travel at Bell Labs in New Jersey. And to this day, there's these big monolithic utilitarian buildings in New Jersey where Bell Labs has changed its name, obviously, since then. And that's supposedly where this happened. Now, to further fuel the fire for that, it's like a war effort kind of thing to win the war. To fuel the fire for that is that the Nazis had the Glock, right? The bell, which was supposedly a time machine that they invented and were trying to win the war with time travel as well. And if you look up Die Glock, you'll find that there is a physical place that people say this is where they did the testing on the Glock.
Hi, I'm Maggie, one of Rob's digital AI assistants. Rob asked me to provide a little more detail on this topic, but more importantly, ensure that Bob was saying Die Glocke correctly, which he wasn't. So with apologies to all of our German-speaking listeners, here's what I found. Among the more intriguing theories about advanced technology in World War II is the story of Die Glocke, or the bell, a purported top-secret Nazi device that some claim had capabilities beyond conventional science. Allegedly part of the Third Reich's Black Projects, Die Glocke is said to have been an experiment involving high-energy fields, possibly related to anti-gravity, exotic propulsion, or even time manipulation.
And do you know who was heading up some of that testing during the war? Supposedly.
No, I was going to try to think of a funny name, but nothing came to me. So I'll just say no.
Werner von Braun. And you know who Werner von Braun is, don't you?
I have definitely heard of Werner von Braun.
What a web I am weaving for you tonight. Werner von Braun is a Nazi scientist who helped bring the V1 rocket to fruition and bomb the shit out of the UK with the Flight of the Valkyries, Death from Above stuff. And he is the mastermind of all the Apollo, Mercury, and Gemini missions.
Okay.
He was the head of NASA after the war. They nabbed him, they brought him here, and they forced him to work for NASA.
All right, then.
And he was a card-carrying Nazi, and he was head of NASA. You can look it up. That is the fact. That's not even a lot. The Glock stuff, who knows?
Right.
It is a fact. He was a Nazi. He was part of Project Paperclip. He came over here, and he became head of NASA.
Project Paperclip reminds me of that little paperclip character that used to be part of Microsoft Office. What was his name? Clippy? I would always wonder how his eyes stayed attached to his body, and why he needed eyebrows. Anyway, Project Paperclip was a secret U.S. program launched after World War II to recruit German scientists, engineers, and technicians, many of whom had worked for the Nazi regime, to aid American military and technological advancements. The program, run by the Office of Strategic Services and later the CIA, aimed to prevent valuable scientific expertise from falling into Soviet hands during the early Cold War.
Yeah, this makes me trust the government even more.
But von Braun, he was involved in all kinds of technology, and he's tied to the Glock, which was the time travel thing, and the flying wing, and on into futuristic things like the B-1 bomber. So all that stuff ties in. You can kind of pull it all back to von Braun's and his team, their knowledge base. But this all could be Nazi technology that we've implemented finally. World War II was a big shakeup for a lot of things. And I mean, a huge shakeup. And it also, that's the birth of the popular UFO. There's UFO reports prior to that. But as far as the modern day UFO, all started back then in the late 40s after the war. Although Foo Fighters were during the war, so that's a whole other aspect. And those are the orbs, right? So Foo Fighters were never described as being physical objects. They were all described as being balls of light. So this also has a Foo Fighter quality, which is not just the band.
This is Maggie once again. Rob and I decided that we had better play it safe with Bob tossing all of these terms around. The term Foo Fighters originated during World War II, used by Allied pilots to describe mysterious, glowing aerial phenomena they encountered, particularly over Europe and the Pacific. The name came from a comic strip catchphrase, "Where there's foo, there's fire," popularized by Smokey Stover, a comic about a fireman. Initially reported by U.S. airmen in late 1944, these objects appeared as bright, fast-moving orbs that seemed to follow aircraft, sometimes performing impossible maneuvers.
When you were mentioning the beginning of UFO, I was thinking of the 70s rock band. I was trying to remember what
right.
what their hit song was.
They're Canadian, aren't they?
I think so.
Yeah, they're Canadian rock band. Yeah, well, there's a TV show called UFO. If you ever watch it, it's a British television show called UFO, which is oddly enough to tie back into last episode. It was Jerry Anderson did UFO TV show. He was the Marionation guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's all gelling. It's all coming together.
It's all coming together. It's a fruitcake of interesting, weird facts.
What boggles my mind is within 3 generations possibly, we've lost all remembrance of what happened. If you went on the street, kind of like a Jay Leno jaywalking kind of stupid thing, and I said, if I told you the head of NASA when we landed on the moon was a Nazi, would you believe me? They would say no.
No, yeah. I mean, it's happening in quicker cycles, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
These days, where things come in and out of the public view so quickly. Back then, it was propagated by a couple of radio stations and a handful of TV shows. And now it's able to be everywhere, virtually instantaneously. And then the next cycle comes in, the next wave of information or the newest tragedy or the newest whatever wipes the old one out. And that's top of mind. And pretty soon, it just kind of recedes back into the distance.
I think at first when the internet came out, the government was very worried about it because it gave average people access to a huge amount of information. But now we're more than 30 years on and they're playing it against us. So now you get flooded with so much information, like this Jersey drone thing. There is so much out there that you cannot possibly separate the wheat from the chaff.
Yep.
You either believe it or you don't, and it's very divisive. And I think that's what the internet has become for the politicos to use, is to let confusion reign.
Yes.
And it is the ultimate confuser, the internet, and it's working, unfortunately.
Well, the internet's just the conduit through which information flows. And there's so much information that's available almost now instantaneously. And then pretty soon, folks like my AI assistants are going to be able to process information with the snap of a finger that would have taken humans years to crunch through. And it's just going to continue to accelerate. But in fact, that's one of the theories, that the whole drone scenario is some sort of an AI that's just auto-running. Some sort of an alien race had visited Earth previously. And what's being triggered now is just some sort of a planet-preserving technology that had been put in place thousands and thousands of years ago that we've not progressed to far enough as a human race to actually put the planet in jeopardy. And so they're being deployed to make sure we don't kill ourselves and destroy the planet.
Everybody loves to say they're helping us out. No, I don't buy it. I mean, if you want to help us out, do a little bit more. You know what I mean?
There's the consistent message that a lot of people who have claim to have had direct contact talking about avoid nuclear weapons and be good to the planet.
Sure.
And again, if you think about messages from the future that could be coming back from our future generations and the trajectory that we're heading right now, what future Earth might look like, I could see that would be a good message to try to propagate back gently without disrupting the flow of time too much. Let's go back there and grab a person here or there and just whisper in their ear. You know what? You may want to do some.
Hey, kid who's in grade school in Zambia, lay off the nukes.
Well, who knows? And this is where it gets really intriguing. And again, it would be a great movie. But if you know that some scientist of the future who's incredibly influential, and you found out that they went to this grade school, or maybe there was 2 or 3 of them in that class. That experienced that particular craft that I think you're referring to, that we'd mentioned, I believe, previously.
Another one? I don't get paid enough to do this much work for a single episode. Okay. On September 16th, 1994, around 60 schoolchildren at Ariel School in Ruwa, Zimbabwe, claimed to see a silver disc-shaped craft land near their playground. They described small humanoid beings with large black eyes, some of whom allegedly communicated telepathically with them, warning about environmental destruction. Though no adults witnessed the event, the children were visibly distressed and gave consistent accounts of what they saw.
But there's a hole in your theory.
Oh, there's probably plenty of them.
No, at least for today. You said the
Okay.
keyword influencer. Somebody would have come back from the future to tell Kim Kardashian to do these things, because there you have an influencer. Paris Hilton, Kylie Jenner. These
Yeah, but
people influence more people than any. I mean, can you
Yeah.
even name a nuclear physicist yourself?
But who do you want to influence, though, right? Do you want to influence the people?
But it's the future. You already know who the people are who are influencing millions of people. And
I've
so
got to think
you're
there's
not
not a
going to
lot of.
go, Albert Einstein, don't do relativity. No, you're going to tell these people, these knuckleheads that are making stupid videos that are influencing a whole generation of people. It's going to end up on the Real Housewives, and in the middle of it, what's her name? The child actress Kim. I can't think of her last name right now.
Kim Richards. She was on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and is known for her roles in Escape to Witch Mountain and Return from Witch Mountain.
But she's going to say, nuclear weapons are just terrible.
Well, maybe, but I could also make a case to counter your point that there's probably not many people who are studying to be in the advanced sciences who are watching those programs or following Kim Kardashian. So if you do want to try to influence people who might be involved in some of the career tracks that might actually be able to do something about it versus me sitting on a couch in my living room, then maybe you would choose somebody more selectively that way.
But again, Putin, it's my whispering in Putin's ear. I mean, he seems the most likely to use one today. What about poor Truman? Truman's the one who said, drop the bomb.
Well, if they ever visit me, I'm going to ask them these questions.
You're going to say, why me? Why me? That would be my first question. Why are you telling me about this? I have no consequence in this.
All will be
they're
revealed.
like, Bob, you're going to be so
Bob.
influential in the future. I'm like, yeah, right, whatever. Okay, I'm really lazy, and I'm not going to do whatever you're telling me to do.
Did you hear this interesting fact that the gentleman who exploded his Cybertruck in front of Trump Tower in Las Vegas had sent an email that they are, I guess, referring to as his manifesto, but there was a lot in there about the drones, New Jersey drones.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
He had sent
interesting.
An email.
Is that as close as he could get to New Jersey?
So he was supposedly involved with some sort of suitable of war crime activities when he was in the service, and he wanted to bring some of this to light. I kind of summarized some of the quotes from his email that he sent. It has not been officially validated by the FBI that it did come from him, so there could be some sort of a, trying to pretend that it did. But the FBI says that they do believe that it did. They just have not completely confirmed it yet as of yesterday. But it says what we have, this is from the gentleman's email, what we have been seeing with drones, quote unquote, is the operational use of gravitic propulsion systems powered aircraft by most recently China in the East Coast, but throughout history of the US. Only we and China had this capability. China has been launching them from the Atlantic from submarines for years, but this activity recently has picked up. As of now, it's just a show of force, and they're using it similar to how they use the balloon for, and I don't know what these acronyms stand for, SIG, INT, and ISR.
SIGINT stands for Signals Intelligence, and ISR stands for Intelligence, Surveillance, and Reconnaissance,
which are also part of the integrated comms system. There are dozens of the balloons in the air at any given time, blah, blah. The so what is because of the speed and stealth of these unmanned aircraft. They are the most dangerous threat to national security that has ever existed. They basically have unlimited payload capacity and can park it over the White House if they wanted. It's checkmate. So if we believe the Cybertruck driver guy, he's saying this is advanced technology that we and China have, and that China is essentially thumbing their nose at us by flying it over. Where the future president has this golf course just sort of saying, hey, don't ban TikTok.
Right, yeah. whenever people say stuff like that and they have these manifestos, and everything, they got caught. They got caught, right? And as soon as you get caught, your credibility drops way down. So,
Well, he was supposedly being followed by, he believed, by the Department of Defense. And so he sent this email because he didn't think he was going to make it out of the country. Who knows? These are just fun.
Diversions, I know.
Fun's a terrible adjective to ascribe to something like what happened with him and this note that I just read. But these are just interesting
tidbits, tidbits
that you could form a theory around. Or this wasn't one of the joyful ones where they're playful orbs helping to bring us to higher levels of spiritual awakening.
Right,
This is essentially China having technology that could bring the U.S. to our knees at any given time.
The Hail Bop guy said that. We're going to get spiritual enlightenment, and then everybody just died in their sneakers.
Please add a comment wherever you're hearing this podcast, requesting Bob and Rob fork out overtime pay for Maggie. Hail Bop was a comet visible from Earth in 1997. Marshall Applewhite, the leader of the Heaven's Gate cult, convinced his followers that a spaceship was trailing behind Hail Bop, and that by committing suicide, they could board the ship and reach a higher plane of existence. This tragically led to the deaths of 39 cult members.
China has hypersonic missiles. Why would they have a floaty orb and helium balloons or whatever the hell flying over when they have a missile that can break the sound barrier? We have hypersonic missiles. I mean, this is published at this point. And so it's like, why? Again, it's very confusing because there's so many other things. We have energy weapons, for Christ's sake. Why not just use an energy weapon? You know what I mean? It's all very confusing.
You could ask why, but I don't think you'll ever get a straight answer.
No, well, there you go.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why we don't believe the government.
As you talk about information, there's some sort of a quote that I heard. It was some Russian scientist who was giving a lecture or speech. Gosh, it's probably close to 15, 20 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
But he said that the most devastating weapon of the past, I'm butchering it, but the most devastating weapon of the past was the nuclear bomb. Mm-hmm. And now the most devastating weapon is information.
Right. Or misinformation.
Yeah, or the misuse of information. Yeah,
right,
exactly.
Yeah.
So you think about what's happened with social media, or what you just said. The truth is probably floating out there in one of the many threads that I've read on Reddit. But how would you ever sort that out of anything else that we've read? And now I'm sure that the government employs plenty of people where their job is to go into these areas and throw people off base and discredit things.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what Lou Elizondo's job was. Yeah. He was a misinformation specialist, and everybody's taking his word for it.
Yeah, love you too. Okay, bye. Sorry about that. The UFO community views Lou Elizondo as a pivotal figure who brought government interest in UFOs into the mainstream. His previous role within the government, where he reportedly worked in intelligence and counterintelligence, including as a misinformation specialist, adds to the intrigue surrounding him. While some question his background and motives, many see his experience and knowledge as evidence of his credibility as a whistleblower who helped legitimize the search for answers about unexplained aerial phenomena.
Yeah, now I'm telling the truth.
But yeah, I know back then I was lying to everyone because it was what I was getting paid for. But now I'm telling the truth.
All right, I've got some very important questions for you. Are you ready?
Oh, no. Okay, I'm ready.
Yeah. All right, give me a number.
Any number or?
Any number.
37.
Okay, I was thinking of that number. That's kind of freaky. Give me an adjective.
I feel like this is going to be improv games. Adjective is climbing.
Climbing is not an adjective.
Oh, it's not?
Well, it works, so let's go for it.
Ted's climbing the rope, isn't that?
That's an
action,
verb?
though.
That's a verb. Yeah, that's all right, but it works.
An adjective. Let me give you a real one.
We're moving on to climbing. Climbing works.
All right.
A noun. Just give me a noun.
The Pentagon.
Oh, I like that one. Pentagon. Okay. A color?
Is this like Madlib's? Fuchsia.
How do you spell it? Fuchsia.
F-U-S-C-I-A.
I heard fuchsia with a P.
Oh, sorry. Fuchsia.
That's me. A verb ending in ing, so like climbing.
Like climbing, but a different verb.
Uh-huh.
Running.
That was too simple. Give me a silly name.
Cucalorius. We'll do that. That's a callback.
Very good. A noun.
Another noun?
Yeah, another noun.
Driveway.
I like that, driveway. Good. An adjective, another one of those.
Okay, I'm going to get a real adjective now, like a descriptive thing.
Mm-hmm.
Round.
A place.
I feel like I'm on a 60s game show now. The password is... what was your question now?
A place. We need a place.
Oh, a place. Mount Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore. Lastly, an emotion.
Oh, an emotion. Envy.
Well, there's some breaking news on the New Jersey drones story. Just came to me from my AI assistant. Okay.
Last week in New Jersey, a group of 37 witnesses spotted something climbing in the night sky. The mysterious object, which looked like the Pentagon with fuchsia lights, was running at high altitude. Local resident Cucalorius grabbed their driveway to record the event, but the footage came out looking like a round blob. Experts say similar objects have been reported across Mount Rushmore, leaving witnesses feeling extremely envious.
So I cannot validate whether that is an accurate report or not, but it was hot off the wire. I felt I had to relay it.
Film at 11.
Film and grainy videos at 11.
Is that like an AI Madlib thing?
It was. I sent one of my assistants out to do a New Jersey drones related Madlib.
Oh, okay. Because Madlib is, I think that's trademark, so maybe we can't call it that. But
let's call it something else. Let's call it Drone Lib. No, it doesn't have very good.
Yvonne Brondit.
Bronlib? Werner von Braunlib?
Something like that, maybe.
Something like that.
Too funny.
Well, I don't know. I figured it was worth a try.
I liked it. It was very enjoyable. I was worried there for a moment. Oh my God. So do you think we've tackled the Jersey drone show?
I think until any further definitive developments happen, we need to move on from the drones to something else.
And our ultimate analysis is that it's people from the future who look like gray aliens.
Definitely. We came to the definitive conclusion, and anybody who says anything else is obviously just a government disinformation agent.
Yeah, it's Valiant Thor, and he's come back to give us some more good news. So,
Valiant Thor. Oh, this must be a Marvel reference. Okay.
No, it's an alien reference.
I thought there was some Marvel verse. That's not the Marvel verse, is it?
The Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yeah, MCU.
Okay. MC, yeah. Well, I left out a little bit of that, but no, I thought there was some character where Thor comes back from the future, and you were just referencing.
He's Valiant Thor. No, Valiant Thor is an alien. Throw it into your AI, and you'll see that Valiant Thor has a pretty deep. He's been debunked a couple of times, but some people still believe he was really an alien that came and visited the government. And there's even a picture of him.
Did he have a hammer?
No, he had a suit.
Were there big yellow circles on the front of his suit?
Nope. I think it was a Brooks Brothers.
Helmet with wings?
Nope.
Yeah, okay.
60s haircut.
All this is very disappointing.
Yeah.
He does have a cool name.
Yeah, he's got a great name with a very humble look. Well, what's next on the docket?
What is next on the docket?
Are we going to leave it as a surprise till next time?
Yeah, I would say just to check back to the channel, right? We'll list up what the next one will be.
big things are brewing. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Stay tuned.
Or small things are brewing that we want to be bigger. How's that?
I think that's more apt. Yeah, that probably describes it a little bit better.
Stay tuned for more things to come.
Keep your eyes, at least one, to the sky.
I can't believe you listened to this. It's been the Mondo Freako Basement Tapes. If you've enjoyed this glimpse into the origins, you're going to really want to check out the regular show. All kinds of weird topics, but maybe a little more polished.
You can find Mondo Freako on all major podcatchers and social media platforms.
See you next show.
You freak.
I can tell you there's 3 people that listen to the show.
That was very slow and painful.
It was ba 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 ba.
My right shoulder is a lot larger than my left.
Not quite as sticky and generally more cloth-like. Come here, Wendy. I'm not gonna hurt you.